Sydney's in the middle of the biggest gang war in living memory. There are 13 murders so far, and I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon.
So we're trying to figure out how deep this whole thing goes.
It's a pleasure to be joined here by our superstar reporters, Mark Morri and Josh Hanrahan. Moz, as we know him, has worked at News Corp for more than 40 years. Self-described has
40.
40. 40. Self-described has gone from typewriter to TikTok star. I've stolen that line from him. Moz, if I start with you, teaming up on this really successful series for us, how is it different to anything that we've done before?
Mark Buddle, he is considered the supreme commander of the Comanchera. This guy wanted to control the entire drug trade.
It is so different. As you said, I started my career here writing a story on a typewriter, and then to be involved in this series, which when it was first suggested, I thought it was just a thought bubble in an editor's head, and there's been so many of them over the years. And this one's actually worked, and it's been quite amazing.
The genesis of this kind of started when all of a sudden we realised that we had this new audience on TikTok and they had this insatiable appetite for the stories you guys were writing. It started us thinking about what more we could do with it. So Josh, tell us about how that unfolded.
Well, we were unsurprisingly sitting on the rooftop of the Aurora one night and Moz just said, somebody came up to me and said they've seen me on TikTok. and I said, oh, do you mean TikTok? He said, I don't know. Anyway, he said, I wonder what that's about. About 2 days later, I was on TikTok and this video popped up, and it was Moz doing one of the YouTube videos that we would do for the true crime series. And this random Western Sydney page had stolen it and put it on, and it had about 350,000 views. And I said, geez, I came and I said, Moz, that's going nuts. We should, look at doing this. And we raised it with the social media team, and it was a bit of, we didn't have a TikTok page at that stage. No. Anyway, 5 months later, another one popped up, and I said, we've just got to start doing this. Like, people are loving crime, they love podcasts, we've always known that. So we started our TikTok page, and we went along, and it started to go really well. We got 100,000 views, we thought that was good. And then
I still hadn't figured out how I could even watch myself.
No, you haven't.
No, I have to get texted to me. What's TikTok? I thought it was like Kit Kat, TikTok.
Yeah, and then Masood Zachariah went missing, and that got 300,000 views, and we were just couldn't believe it. We were laughing at our desks, just saying this is ridiculous. Yeah. And then Terry
so much effort goes into those TikToks. If you've looked at it, so heavily scripted, weeks of research. Seriously, Sophie comes up to the desk, goes, "What are you guys going to talk about?" And then we see what we can talk about that we might know in the last hour or two.
Yeah.
Talk about it, and that's how it's just worked.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But
they haven't put any work into it.
Tarek Zahid got shot, and we'd written a story about in a couple of days before that about the fact that there was a bounty on his head, and that went mental. We woke up the next morning and that TikTok had 1 million views, and we thought, right, well, I think we mentioned it to Ben, and Ben was just couldn't believe it either. And as Moz said, had the great idea that we needed to do something, and to his credit, we followed through.
Actually, it wasn't my idea, was it? I know I've stolen it in the pub, but it was actually Ben English's idea.
So, but it is true, the TikToks, you film them very quickly. And the doco is not dissimilar, from idea to delivery, it was basically a month. Tell me how that process played out.
As I said, I really didn't think we could do it. When Ben said, we're going to do a documentary one, we're a newspaper. So it was groundbreaking, and also, as I said, I thought, it's not going to work. But he went and got some writers. I think Zach McLean helped. Nick Hansen turned from news editing to producing, and we just went out and did it. And the key, like with the TikTok, is we never said a word that we wouldn't print. And I think that gave us credibility and gives us the credibility on TikTok. And I also think maybe the old and the new, and they might think I know what I'm talking about, and they like to look at him. I don't know. So we've got that combination going. But I think it worked in the documentary again. And I was talking to people from TV, and when I told them what we were doing, they just, a month, they said, no, it just can't be done. They are astounded. And we just approached it like a newspaper.
And your sources, at the heart of it is journalism. Journalism that you guys have done for a long time, but you've brought it to a whole new audience. You've got sources in police, you've got sources in the underworld. going out there, filming this series, and then getting so much attention, have you been fearful for your own safety? Maybe start with you, Josh.
Some days, there's the last month hasn't probably been the most fun of our career, despite the fact that it's been going gangbusters. We've spent a few nights in a hotel together.
Wait till I get the bill.
Separate.
Cutting some of those subscription products.
Yeah. The company's been great in looking after us, because there was some threats. And it's not nice. I mean, I don't think really we're not their major focus. Obviously, this whole battle's about drugs and whatnot, and they're more intent on shooting each other than shooting. Well, they might shoot you, but they wouldn't shoot me.
I get the threats, he gets the propositions.
Yeah.
So, but you got to deal with it, and it wasn't a high risk thing, but it was something that we had to address, and it happens occasionally. So, just with this again, the profile was so high, and I think that's what brought the attention to. Some of them would be upset if we weren't writing about it. We'd probably get threatened if we stopped doing this stuff.
And one of the things that you say in the documentary that made this, I think, so compelling is this idea that this gang war is the worst in a generation. So what is it, Moz, from your perspective, having covered this stuff for 40 years, that makes this iteration of the gang war so compelling?
This mob got a little bit more theatrical. And also, I remember writing a lot in the 80s, and it was last seen drinking at the Cauliflower Hotel, and then 12 years later his bones would wash up, Cornell or something. These guys are now doing it in the streets, outside restaurants, in gyms, and it's being caught on CCTV. So, but they've taken it to a new height. And someone described it to me, they said it's a once in a generation gangland war. And I've been through 40 years of them, and I actually think it's new levels because of the way they're doing it, and they are theatrical. I mean, I think they're going out of their way to make them, doing them in the middle of the city, outside beauty salons and in the gyms. They're incredibly elaborate in the way they burn the cars and steal everything. And that's what's made it so different, so high profile. And the fact that we actually get to have vision, and that's the other thing that we've learned as a newspaper, and through this documentary, is give them the story and some vision now. So we're, say from typewriter, I'm learning, you've got to get vision. So I sent him out to get CCTV, because I don't like going out there, it's dangerous.
The New South Wales Police Force will hunt you down and lock you up.
Cops are, more controlling than they've ever been. They've got, massive media unit, and I hate saying the old days, but I say it all the time. Where we used to just go drinking with different squads every week, and it's all changed now. They don't drink, we don't drink, a lot more professional. So, what? No, I didn't mean don't drink. I mean we just don't drink with them as often as we used to. But so now I've had to find. Now I've got more underworld contacts, and you hear things. So now there's this trade-off where the cops know we know. So they are coming to the Telegraph, particularly one, because we have such a great audience. And two, now with the cops, you almost go to them and go, I'm going to print this. And they go, wait a sec. And they start cooperating. We got the police commissioner on to do this because she knew that if she didn't, she was not going to have a voice in this. So our relationship with them is quite good, but we're not being bullied by them, although, at all. So, and I think with our credibility and our stocks have gone even higher. They know the value. Yeah. And especially if they don't talk to us, is what's going to happen.
Yeah, and I mean, I just bumped into a cop before. I was just at a job earlier, and he said, "Well, where was my credit in the producer one?" He said, "I pretty much have done everything, locked up everybody that you wrote about and worked on every job." And he said he enjoyed it, and I think they like the attention that it gets in the public and it puts on these people that they're trying to arrest. I mean, we did have a couple of incidents where, as Moz said, when we were producing it, when we were making it, there were a couple of interviews that we were trying to do, and they said, "Oh, probably wouldn't do that if I was you," which is probably smart advice.
I wish you'd done
it. But no, they're supportive. They get on board. I think particularly the Tally, we have a really good relationship
Well, we worked really hard at it.
Yeah, and they respect the job that we do, and they know it's important. And like they say to us, sometimes we have to solve crimes because they see people reading our stories and then they get them on their phones, you know, talking about it and then listening in, and there you go. So yeah, we essentially became TV producers. Really, it was pretty full on. There were a couple of meetings there where we were locked in a room for 4 or 5 hours. Just, you know, I'm pretty stubborn when I know what I think.
Pedantic, and that was. It was watching the way that our guys again produced it, like Nick and Josh. The guys would just send through these rushes, or you know, they'd say this is the series, and they were like excruciating sub-editors and layout people. The way they just would say, no, we've got to do this, we've got to do that. And again, I think that's what made it so good, was their painstaking, really painstaking attention to detail. Where
yeah, I mean, I think we've never done anything like this before as a company, and particularly for Moz and I, A, we know the subject matter inside out, and B, it's our faces that are up there on the screen. And so I think there's a lot of personal pride in it. So that was probably the reason I was so bullish. Pain in the ass.
but yeah, very.
Well, we did get some feedback. I mean, mainly it was absolute shock that we were able to produce such an amazing series in 4 weeks.
I think the week before we even had this idea, TV approached me. They said they were going to do they were going to do some show doing on these wars, and I said, oh yeah, when are you going to do it? And then Ben said, oh look, we're going to do our own. And I rang him and said, look, I can't go and do anything for a while. She said, oh, we're about 2 months away from actually doing anything. And like before, we had our first part out before I went to go and do some filming. Like TV, just they can't get over it, and they, you know, the speed it's been done at. So, and like we were doing them, like putting 1 and 2 out before we'd done 3 and 4, and then in that 2-week period, and then cutting in when someone got shot halfway between. So.
Yeah, and they keep calling me with job offers, but that's all right.
Did you get job offers?
That was for you.